was empowering members of the criminal community. Your Honor, it gets worse. It gets worse. And I challenged it. I challenged it legally and morally. And a member in this government took me on, and with the emotive historical language met me with the response, "You don't know lick and lock up done with?" Yes. Not a personal attack. Not a personal attack. Come, let us reason together, government. And it is wrong to tell the young men of this country that they are worthy of negotiation on behalf of a government to either financially assist or to financially empower, whatever is the difference. And then to add to it the dangerous language that lick and lock up done with, so we not locking you up anymore. That done with. Come and bargain. But you thought it couldn't get worse? You thought it could not get worse? This bargain that a few weeks ago the minister said, as the killings continued, oh well, those ones that are killing now are not the participants in the peace program. The people of this country can believe it, that this government now has evidence as to who is doing the killing, and evidence as to who is not doing the killing but used to do the killings, and that because of a transaction they have resigned from the activity of killing, and there is a new set of killers on the block. So that when I say that this government has lost its moral foundation, I say it in all seriousness. I do. I see a government that is passing weak and toothless anti-crime legislation, including the New Bail Act. Said it in here before and I'm going to say it again. And I'm going to let the people of Barbados know that it is my considered opinion as a senior lawyer in this country and this region that the New Bail Act does nothing that wasn't done by the old Bail Act. And if I go so far as to accuse the government of having done that deliberately, I hope that I'm wrong. But the government in this country is soft on crime. Why? Are there electoral implications? We assessing criminality, or we counting votes? Which? Somebody has to say it. And somebody has to say it in this parliament. And somebody has to say it in the public life of this country. The whispers must leave the street corners and come into this parliament. And it must come into this parliament couched in truth. Are we assessing criminality, or are we counting votes? If you see something, say something. I have seen something. I have seen the evidence. So I'm saying it. What will you do, government? We see the emergence of garrison communities in this country. A dangerous emergence. Even police intervention, and it becomes impregnable against police intervention if the state is going to use neutral language, if the state is now entering into negotiation with the members of those garrison communities. I say to the people of Barbados here and in the diaspora, that is the state of life in this country. We have lost our protection. We, the majority of peace-loving people in this country, we, the majority who are not involved in crime, seem to have lost the protection of the state. Because it seems, if we're to take the honorable member at his word, and he was joined by his colleagues, lick and lock up done with. So where's the police? Where are the police in this matter? I will have something to say about the Commission of Police being brought into this Parliament 2 weeks ago. I have a lot to say about that. Should not have been here. I want to say through you, sir, to the honorable member, I'm going to leave that alone for the time being. I want to say through you, Your Honor, to the honorable member for Christchurch East Central, that there has been a conspicuous disappearance of any government capital works projects from this budget. Last year, the honorable Prime Minister came and boasted about the capital works projects intended to be undertaken by government. This budget this year says more about corn curls than it says about government buildings. Where are the capital works projects? Where are the borrowed monies? What are they being used for? While you think of the answer, I take you to page 144. And I quote, "There would be some additional supplementaries on critical expenditure to fuel inclusive growth." I read again, "There would be some additional supplementaries on critical expenditure to fuel inclusive growth." Now, that sentence is futuristic. I'm not sure if the speech was written before last Friday, when this government came into this chamber and added 327 or 29, let's say $327 million to its expenditure over and beyond what the estimates provided for last year. A few days before the financial year is about to end on March the 31st, 2025, I'm going to demystify this for the public. A lot of what you hear, there's no mystery to it. The estimates are estimates of expenditure. As the old people used to say, reckon your money and decide how you're going to spend it. That's all this government does, or any government. You reckon your money and you decide how you're going to spend it over a period of a year or a week, as the case may be. And I am saying that this is an overspending government. When a few hours before the financial year ends, this government comes and tells the taxpayers of this country, look, we want another $327 million of your property, of your currency, to spend between whatever period, between last Friday and the end of the month, which is 21 days away or 20 something like that. Or when the honorable member for Christchurch East Central made that statement yesterday, is the honorable member saying that he's coming back for more? Or was the budget speech written before the honorable member came to this house and got another $327 million in the taxpayers' money? This is an overspending government. This is a government that is borrowing millions of dollars, billions now. But they're showing They are demonstrating that those millions borrowed are being spent. And they're further demonstrating that not only are they being borrowed and spent, but that they are not being spent on what the lender stipulated in all cases. The 25 million for Kensington is a prime example. The Public Accounts Committee will meet shortly. And please, members, please do not do to me what you did to me last time. Please allow me to exercise the little power that I have as chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. Please allow me that. I don't have any power in here. But when I go up into the Senate chamber as the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, let me do the people's work. And I want the Public Accounts Committee, I've written to the Auditor General and I've told the Auditor General that I want a report as to that $25 million that was borrowed for cricket development, and I want it soon because I want the Public Accounts Committee to investigate where it has gone, and if it went to Oystins, if they sent $5 million to Oystins, they have breached the terms of the agreement and they have breached the trust of the public that they told that it was for cricket development. Please, members, on that committee, which I have the honor to chair, your numbers are majority numbers. But please, on behalf of the people of this country, allow me to do my work. Please, I beg you. Please let me set the agenda. Please let me investigate hope. Please, please let me investigate Comey. Please, I beg you. I beg you, government. I beg you in your majority numbers. What now must I do? Must I go to the people of this country and lament my own failure as chairman of a Public Accounts Committee? I beg you, please let me do my work. Please. I beg you. At page 149, the minister ended his speech by commenting on settlement. Now, this speech must have been written before the events of the last 3 weeks, Honorable Speaker, because I can't believe that the Honorable Member for Christchurch East Central is so disjoined from political events. He is a technocrat. And I've accused him of being the hardest working member of this government. And maybe he is so steeped in his labors that he stands unaware as to what is happening in Whole Town, that the people of this country are in rebellion against that Whole Town development, and that is the area of settlement by the British. And that is a celebrated place. For the British, that is a sacred place. And this government, beg your pardon, has taken a position against the wishes of the people of this country. Not only the English, but Barbadians as well. I used to go to something called Whole Town Festival back in the 80s and 90s, when life around here was so beautiful and peaceful. And hundreds of people would spend that weekend at the Whole Town Festival. Alfred Pragnell would be there, and it really was a wholesome activity. Nobody went down there and fought. Nobody went down there and killed anybody and received an excuse that they can lock it down with so you could kill people and go down home and sleep. And that adds to the sacredness of the place. That in the consciousness of many Barbadians, Whole Town is an oasis, a place of peace, a place where the visitor met the local and lived peacefully. The Whole Town Festival had that meaning for Barbadians. And the honorable member, who obviously is a very hard-working minister, needs to be told by his colleagues, look, please don't touch Whole Town. Whole Town is not making us look very good at this point. But maybe he's a highly principled man. And maybe he elevates principle above the political reality. And the political reality is that the people in this country are not happy with this government for desecrating a heritage site. Maybe the honorable member is not aware of that. And if I were his friend, I would visit him in one of his quiet moments and say, look, friend, please leave Whole Town alone. Don't even mention it. The mention of Whole Town is costing this government much political capital. The mention of Whole Town and the fact of the controversy at Whole Town could cost this government dearly. It could. But I'm not here to advise the government. Any cost to the government may well, any discredit to the government, the debit margin, the debit column of this government may fall in my credit margin. I have a party now, you know. I have a party now. I'm alone here, but I'm not lonely. I'm not lonely, honorable members. I have a party now. Yes, I do. And it is a party with a proud history. And the ones who are not laughing know that party well. Because they were there and they asked about running, they ran too. If you get me vexed, I can call some names. Not only of those who ran, but of those who in the shadows of the night made applications. Yes, the Honorable Speaker does not allow names to be called in here. And you have been saved by that rule. But if you push me,
I can create an exemption if you want it.
Regathering. You know, we went through an exercise of regathering for 2 weeks. Not regathering, the estimates. I searched through, they told me I can't. Look, I was hearing last year here, man, you know, Thorne can't read the estimates. The boy can talk, but he can add. He can talk, but he don't know numbers. That's what they said in here last year. So I had some help. And I asked my help to go through this voluminous document full of distortion and tell me where the regathering money is coming from. And people of Barbados, we have discovered that this government is separating, parceling out, regathering money across various ministries. Are they hiding it? Are they concealing it? But I can't read numbers. I talk pretty, but I can't read numbers. So I had help. So I want the people of Barbados to know, and I say this in the presence of the goodly gentleman who presented yesterday, that it will become his duty in response to tell the people something about this regathering. Tell the people, if regathering is a culture event, an event belonging to the Ministry of Culture, why you didn't place all the money there? If it is an event belonging to the Ministry of Education, why you didn't place all the money there? But what does it say generally about these estimates when this clever government is parceling out, regathering money between 4 and 5, perhaps 6 ministries? Is it to mislead the people of Barbados? And can the people of Barbados rely on the numbers that I can't get read? So my help has told me what the numbers are. And what my help has not had to tell me is that we don't believe the numbers. My help has told me that a lot of the gathering money is being spent outside of what has been disclosed. But my help does not have to tell me that the gathering is not an authentic national event, that the gathering is a partisan event. It is an event sponsored by the Barbados Labour Party using taxpayers' money. And that is morally wrong. I've heard the Minister of Foreign Affairs in a church service, good to see him in a church, trying to explain what we gathering is conceptually. The sentence is not complete to this day. He said something about love and something about love. That's the part I heard, because it was interesting to hear the honorable member speaking of love. He's a love man. And he was telling the people of this country that it is rooted in love. I think they took up former member for Christchurch West. He said something about love too. So nobody has been able to properly explain, what is this we gathering about? But let me tell the people of Barbados what it is about. That there was a launch that took place in London of this so-called regathering. And the logo of the Barbados Labour Party appeared on that advertisement. You see how things come out? Maybe unwittingly. But that advertisement disclosed much of what the government would have wanted to hide. Some innocent person in London told the truth. Some innocent person in London told the truth about the concept called regathering. And we in the Democratic Labour Party say to the people of this country that they will not support what is supposed to be a national event when it really is a partisan event belonging to the Barbados Labour Party, and that's fine. They used to do a big picnic on the East Coast, getting small every year though. And they're entitled to do that. But do not do what are supposed to be national events for the Barbados Labour Party. And if it is for the Barbados Labour Party, do not spend the taxpayers' money. And government, you want to hear something? Every regathering is getting smaller. Even the members and supporters of the Barbados Labour Party are now withdrawing from it. The whole thing is so sinister that the members of the Barbados Labour Party were told, look, don't wear the red shirts. Because if you wear the red shirts, the innocent people who come will know that it is a party event. You know what's the dominant color? Green. The green in the BLP. The BLP has gone green, except for when they come up by Parliament to greet their unhappy parliamentarians. They gone green. Congratulations to the honorable member for Christchurch West Central. He started out green in Barbados and was not aware that his magnificent greening would reach his own party. So they're now green. They're now disguising themselves in green for the purpose of misleading the public that what is a partisan event is really a party event. Have you ever seen so many people in a small place and not a man is in raid? That's unusual. Even if it is not a partisan event, somebody is going to wear raid. But I saw one of the events and not a man had on raid. Not even the honorable member for St. Peter. I believe it has now reached St. Thomas. Regathering is like has it reached St. Thomas? It is like a poisonous snake crawling through Barbados. And it is biting propriety and decency in government. Wherever it is, I don't know where it is. The majority of people don't know where it is, and they don't care where it is because they're not supporting it. It is a political enterprise. It is a partisan enterprise masquerading as a national event. The Democratic Labour Party is asking the decent people of this country to abandon it. Abandon it. It is a BLP event. Do not be sucked into it with your presence. Leave it alone. So the Green Army, which is an army in disguise, let them gather. The rest of us who are afraid of crime will scatter. I brought along I'm not making anything a document of the House, sir. I brought along something. Let me leave it at that. You know, immigration is asking visitors to this country if they're coming because of the regathering. Ask this government to disclose the figures from immigration as to how many returning Barbadians have said that they are visiting this country because of regathering. How many, government? People are going to come here in July and August for crop over. Nobody is coming to this country for regathering because we're in the technological age. And those in the diaspora who are probably hearing me right now, as I speak, are being made aware that decent Barbadians are being asked, whether they're B, D, or X, not to support a partisan event that is masquerading as a national event. Masquerade, painted faces on parade, Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber, Phantom of the Opera. It is part of the BLP propaganda machinery. The Honorable Member for Christchurch West Central treated me well. He treated me well when I was over there. Still do. And the Honorable Member came and told me, look, I am greening Barbados. I intend to green this place. And he donated 2 parks. I took him and I showed him, give me a park in St. Laurent in Harmony Hall. And give me a park in Ashby Land. And I did the legal work. The land in Ashby Land belonged to a lady. And I wrote to her, well, not wrote to her, I read to her. I did not steal her land. I've never stolen anybody's land, nor their money. And I went to her and I told her, donate this land to the NCC. You're not losing your what we call seisin, S-E-I-S-I-N. You're not losing your title. You're not even given a lease. What you're given in law is called a license. And it is called a bear license, B-A-R-E, not a bear, B-W-R. And at any point, you can retrieve your land. And she accepted. And I went back to the Honorable West Central with a document signed by the lady, prepared by me. Not only am I a good parliamentary representative, I am a good lawyer. That is all I can do. I'm not a good dentist. I'm not a good doctor. I'm not even a doctor nor a dentist. That is all I am, honorable members. And so I prepared the document using my experience. But that is the long story. The short story is this: that the honorable member for Christchurch West Central came and paid personal attention when he was a better representative. And I said to him, I want 2 benches. And the honorable member gave me 2 benches, or 3. And the honorable member had them painted. And you all know where the story is going. They know where the story is going, sir. They know what color the benches were painted in. And if the honorable member were allowed to interrupt my speech, he would say that those benches were painted either green or blue. I cannot remember. But one day, someone told him to change the color of those benches. The paint was unpeeling, the benches weren't rotting, and they paint the people's benches right. They painted benches in a public park raid. And those who are curious, I was in St. John recently, and the benches in Poland, the Poland woods that used to be green or blue, they are right too. And the people of Barbados are now curious as to what manner of government is this that will go around the country in public places reducing everything to red paint. And they would have heard me say at the beginning of this speech, show me a democracy and I will show you a tyranny in the making. This is tyrannical government. This is government that survives on the basis of propaganda. Propaganda is the lifeblood, the fuel of this government. And this government will not feel that it can succeed unless it can work on the mind of the public and to paint everything red and to associate red with a successful Barbados Labour Party. And then every time you see red, you associate that with the government and you will feel favorably towards the government. But let me tell this government something. The cash registers in the supermarkets are also red. The numbers are also red. And the citizens of this country cannot afford the food. Has any member of this government stood in the line at a supermarket and had the person ahead of him or her turn and say, could you please help me to purchase these groceries? I was at, I'm not going to call the name of the place. If you have tears, prepare to shed them now. I'm going to call the name of the place. I was in Sheraton Center a few months ago. And I walked in and I saw this lady and said hello. Very well dressed lady, very well presented lady.